Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the build. So now, finally got the shell fully primed black. So I got in early one morning. As you can see, the other side of the roof is partly already sanded. So I got in early one morning, the same morning as I'm rubbing it now. This is after work where I'm sanding it here now. So yeah, I got a good 45 minutes cracked out in the morning. Just started getting it rubbed up top and things. So starting on the roof, I'm going to work my way down to the sills. That's just how I like to do it. Um, so yeah, again, just starting ripping it back with 500s. I'm just going to rub the entire van now in 500 grit. Um, 500 is perfect for what I'm doing. It's a dark metallic I'm putting down. It's nothing too light. If it was a silver or something, probably finishing 800. Because it's a dark color, it won't be too bad. I'm going to put a coat of black base down first, so that'll fill in any imperfections that have. I wouldn't really call them imperfections, but yeah, it'll just give me a nice base to go down on top of with the purple then. So yeah, I've got a long couple of days to getting this prepped up. There's a lot more to prep than you think. I've got to rub the entire shell again now. So yeah, I'll rub this van about 3 times at this point. The full shell have been sanded 3 times. So yeah, it's some process that goes into this. People really don't understand. It's not like you've sanded it once and it's done. I've this is the third time I've sanded this roof, so yeah, it's not the most enjoyable. But yeah, hopefully this will be the last time I sand the roof, and then yeah, we'll be onto some panels, get them smashed out, get the doors back on it and stuff, and then yeah, get the plastics done. Well, I'm gonna try and do the plastics and the doors at the same time, but I'll see. Like ideally, I'm gonna do all my doors first. I want to get the doors all painted and back on the van as soon as I can. Don't really want them off the van for any longer than they need to be. Want to get them all back on as soon as. Not only that, I want the van done. I want it built. I want it finished. And it really isn't far away now. It really isn't far away. So I'm super excited at this point now that I feel like I've got the love back for it a little bit. It's hard, after 5 o'clock and stuff to keep that motivation and momentum going of wanting to even work. You just want to go home. It's getting cold in the workshop now. It's getting dark, so it's not exactly the best time of year to stay and do jobs like this when it's getting to this sort of time of year. I mean, it's great staying in the summertime. That you can have the doors up, the sun's shining in. It's real nice. It's warm out. You're working away in a t-shirt and shorts. That's all great, but this time of year to stay and put a stint in the workshop like I am doing it does take some commitment. It is hard when all the boys are going out the door at 5 o'clock going home, and you're like, oh great, I've got to put another 3 hours in yet. So yeah, it's been hard, but we are getting through it. We're getting it done. Again, I've chose to do it. No one's forced me to do it. I've chose to do it, and I do enjoy doing it. It does take a toll on you. When you're doing this every night after 5 o'clock and every weekend, you don't have any hobbies but this. This is all I'm breathing and living at the minute is just this. So yeah, just the graft. So yeah, I'm choosing to block that bit above the windscreen. I did it on the other side, but I didn't have the camera on when I did the other side. It was early on in the morning, and I just wanted to get on. So yeah, I didn't actually get that filmed, but yeah, I've got this other side as proof that I did block the other side, or block this side, so I've blocked the other side. Just getting the guide coat on. That's powdered guide coat again. That's a white one. So we keep a white one there for whenever we've primed something black. Again, usually if you prime something white, you rub the black powdered guide coat in, but again, because I've primed it black, I need a white so I can see where any of my blocking scratches are, because I want to get them DA'd out. Again, don't want any of them coarse 320 grits showing through my base coat, because that won't look pretty. So yeah, just making sure I'm getting that all DA'd back, but I do not want to be breaking through on any edges, no burn throughs, none of that. I want to make sure everything is good. So yeah, just being careful not to hit any edges too much and burn through, because then all my time priming it's wasted. I want minimal burn throughs now because I won't be priming it again, so I don't really want to be burning through anywhere. So yeah, I was taking my time, but I was trying to get it done. It's that fine line. So yeah, get all my hand rubbing done now. Start getting all the gutters and the roof channels and stuff sanded up. Again, this is the bit no one enjoys. This is all the rubbish part, should we say, because it's just tedious, rubbing all that sort of stuff by hand. You just doesn't necessarily take forever, but it does take a long time to do it. It's not a fast process by any means. Rubbing door apertures and stuff, and making sure all your prime is well sanded, like not just a light sand. It's sanded well and it's got your paint's got a good bite to stick to. Anyone can just flick a bit of sandpaper around and say, I've sanded that, but if there's loads of shininess everywhere, well, it's not sanded properly in my eyes. But yeah, some people will say something's sanded when they've literally flicked the sandpaper over it for 20 seconds, but that's not sanding something. So yeah, you gotta make sure you're properly getting that keyed up and, flattening your primer, like cutting your primer down flat so it's smooth. You don't want to be painting your base coat on top of like lumpy, bumpy primer. You want to be on a nice, smooth, flat primed panel. You've blocked it, you've DA'd it. The nicer the surface you can paint down on, the better the job will look. So yeah, that is really important to get that keyed up nice and just get it flat as well. Get all your primer nice and flat, because if you don't, then it's just not gonna look great when you put your base over it. It will look very like orange peely and stuff. So yeah, you do want to make sure your primer's good. Again, making sure all your roof gutters are nice and sanded. I do not want any paint flaking out of them in the future. So yeah, I am going to town on all that, and especially all around the sealer and stuff. Um, yeah, just trying to rub the 500 foam pad in as best I can. I do try and get the Scotch Brite in as well, because the Scotch Brite goes into like the curvatures and stuff a lot easier. So yeah, the Scotch Brite again. I'm using a grey Scotch, not a red. Red's coarser than grey. Grey's quite fine. So yeah, just using a grey wherever I need to, but mainly the 500 soft pad's what I'm using. So yeah, just doing all them ribs now by hand, the side bits where the DA can't get to, making sure everything's keyed up real nice. Again, that's the great thing about me priming it black. You can see everything, you can see all the imperfections, and you can see, because it's so shiny, you can see exactly where you've rubbed and where you haven't rubbed. So no, it's good. It's really good. The fact that I've used the black primer, like I say, we get this in a white as well, like a shiny white, but obviously not going to prime the whole shell white and then paint it fully black. It's just easier to prime it black already, which meant I only had to put one coat of black base coat down for a sealer coat, um, or grey shade coat as we call it on the Octral system. Threw a grey shade down and then straight on with the purple, then one coat of black, and then yeah. So yeah, it's nice. I mixed enough black up. Oh, I've mixed enough black up so when I paint the shell, I've got enough to do the doors because I mixed plenty up. So that's always good. You don't want to be under mixing, but you don't want loads of over mix. Like it doesn't matter if I over mix because it's just black base coat. It can be used for anything. I can be painting wheels with that or basing up for bumpers and stuff or the side of a van or whatever cars. You need a black base and I could just use that. It's not like it's going to be wasted. So yeah, it's not anything to worry about. It's different if you over mixing for clear coat and primer because you're putting hardener and stuff in them. Once the hardener's in, that's it. It's wasted. You can't put it back in the tin. It's game over. Whatever you've mixed and not used, that's going in the bin. So it's always good to be bang on with that sort of stuff. But base coat and that doesn't really make a massive difference. It does if you're not going to paint that color again. But if it's just like a grey shade, like a grey, a white, or a black, like standard color, you can use that to base to get coverage on something, and then use your actual top color, your main coat. So it's just that's the way I look at it anyway. You obviously don't want to be mixing loads of base coat and just wasting all your tinters because that's obviously not cost effective. But what I'm getting at is if it's like just a black or a white or something, then you're gonna use it again. It's not wasted. If it's like a one off color that you're only going to paint that vehicle in and you've got to mix so much of it, and then yeah, that's not ideal. But yeah, with blacks and whites and stuff, most cars come under that, and greys or metallics and stuff. silvers. So much fun rubbing them roof gutters by hand. I'm sure everyone's loving watching that. Just getting in there by hand, rubbing around all the fixings, all the plastic grommets that are in the roof, the rivy nuts. If you to put a roof rack on, you got to rub around all them, make sure they're all keyed up. Yeah, and so I'm around the other side now, actually, on the passenger side. So I've DA'd all that. I just need to do my hand rubbing on that, which isn't too bad, but I had done a little bit of it in the morning, so I didn't need to do a massive amount. I'm pretty sure I get all the roof finished off here tonight, and then over the next couple of nights, I get the rest of the shell all sanded down, and yeah, we aren't far away now. Really, we're getting so close. Just making sure it's all keyed up really well, because yeah, we don't want any paint flaking off. So taking my time, but not taking the mick with getting it prepped. You want to be pushing on with it, because I want it done. I want to see this thing painted for the weekend. So yeah, so I think this is a Monday night when I'm doing this. No, this will be a Tuesday night. Sorry. So yeah, I'm sanding this on a Tuesday night. So yeah, this is Tuesday night now, and I'm rubbing this. So yeah, I get the roof done Tuesday night, and I start getting one of the quarter panels all blocked down. So yeah, we get the bulk of it all broken out. So if I can get the biggest panels done, and there isn't massive amounts left come Thursday Friday, then we should be in the ballpark for putting paint on the weekend. Still a big job on our hands. It's still touch and go whether I will paint on the weekend or not. I should do, but there's a lot to get done still yet. There's still a lot to get done, and there's only so many hours in a day, and there's only so many hours you feel like working, and you can only be energetic for so long. So yeah, we'll see how we get on and see how far we can go. It's so nice that I've got that brand new paneling up there where that rear brake light is now again. Nice brand new panel, no rusty scabby panel in there. Can put the new brake light in, and know that I've got a solid panel to put it into. Which again, that's really nice, because yeah, that last panel wasn't in any good state. So yeah, that's me finished on the roof now. So I'm still going to start getting these quarter panels all blocked down. So again, blocking the van again. The more you block it, the flatter it'll be. So yeah, I want all my edges real nice. So that's why I've gone to town blocking it. Again, it just makes a hell of a difference when you block all your jobs, especially when you block your primer. You want to block your primer because it will just go so flat and so smooth. That's what you want out of when you're painting a job. Block your primer. It's easy. I could just say, stuff it. I'll just pick the DA up, the dual action sander, and just do it all on that. It would be a lot easier for me, and my shoulders and my arms to not stand there and block it by hand, but the quality of the job wouldn't be as good. So, there's a reason for using your block and stuff, and that's the reason for it. All the edges and my body lines and stuff are going to be crisp. They're going to look sick, and they're going to look clean looking. So, well, that's the idea anyway. I'm not saying they will, they should do. We'll know when I paint it. But yeah, no, there shouldn't be any reason to, because I've blocked that van twice now. So, any dents and any lows and high spots should have stood out to me pretty well. Again, it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be completely flat paneled. It's a van at the end of the day. There's going to be ripples down it and stuff, which I'm not too fussed on, but it's not going to be a rusty van when I'm finished with it, and it's going to look nice. It's not just going to be a standard white van on the road anymore. So that'll be pretty cool, and it's just nice for me to paint something for myself for a change. Always painting stuff for other people, so it's finally nice to do something for me for once. So yeah, no, this will be really cool to get this done, and get it driving around, and people are gonna know. For people that do know, people are gonna know I've painted it, obviously, but people are gonna know, that's what he's put into that. He's put all his skill and all his effort into that, and that's what he's produced, and that's what it's about. It's proven that I can do the job, and to prove that that's my skill level, and that's what I can put out. And how I'm gonna be happy with it, because put it this way, it won't leave the workshop until I'm happy with it. I can tell you that now. It won't leave the workshop until I'm happy with it. So that's all I'm going to say on that one. But yeah, this is quite a painstaking process getting this all blocked down. Again, the arms are just hanging off me. You got to think this is probably 7, 8, half 7, pushing on for 8 o'clock now. I'm pretty done in. Like I've pretty had enough. I'm ready for home. But yeah, I just wanted to get the most of this side done because then that meant when I come in Wednesday, I've pretty much got. I can just start DAing it, get the white guide coat rubbed in and start DAing it and do all my edges and stuff, and then it's just the passenger side quarter panel, which is only a smaller quarter panel. So yeah, I've just chose to do the biggest panels first, just because it's you feel like you've done more, you've made more progress because you've rubbed the most of it. So hence why the reason I've done it that way. Um, no other way, no other reason for that really. So yeah, it's getting that. There's a repair down there. I want to make sure that is as good as I can get it. It wasn't mint, but it was somewhere near. So again, the fact that my van's not going to be leaking water in now because of all the rot holes and rust holes and stuff, and yeah, that really does make me feel nice. There's all holes inside the wheel arches where boys had been drilling wood screws in for ply line kits, and so every time you were driving it in the rain, the water would spray up through the wheel arches and get inside the vans. Oh, just yeah, I'm just so happy it's getting to the point where it's mint. So yeah, getting that quarter, that big main quarter now, getting that really blocked down consistently, crisscrossing again, keeping that crisscross pattern going, making sure I'm rubbing it consistently, smoothly, moving the block around. Again, you don't want to stay in one spot forever because you'll make a nice little divot or a low spot. Just keeping that block moving consistently. Again, don't want to burn for any edges, so keeping that in mind, not ripping it right around my edges and burning through little loads of bare metal because that would just be a waste of time. But yeah, you can see I've nearly got the bulk of all that panel blocked. We're pretty much there. Just making sure that that bit down there I was happy with because I did have a small filler repair down there. Yeah, we're not too far off now. Get the rest of that all blocked up. Okay, and I did have a small repair up there, funnily enough, as well, so make sure that was all blocked in nice too. It felt good enough, but you don't know till you paint it really sometimes. Sometimes it can feel great and you get it out and it's like, oh, it doesn't actually look great at all. Yeah, and there's no repairs on that back section. No filler in there that I put in. So yeah, it's just still better to block it. You're just better off blocking your primer. So yeah, I've skipped forward now. So yeah, this is Saturday now. I'm in the booth. I'm prepping it for paint finally. So some of the lads were nice enough, and my boss, including my boss, was nice enough to let us all finish at 4 o'clock on the Friday. And all the lads jumped on my van and helped me rub the door shuts and any remaining bits, and that was real nice. So yeah, no, a big thank you to all them boys for helping me push it on as they did. One of the lads was good enough to stay till about 7:30 Friday night, so I'm really grateful for him for that. So yeah, this is Saturday now anyway. So going back to that, I've cleaned all the booth out. I've cleaned the van. I've tack clothed the entire shell down before I've even brought the van in the booth. I've blown it. I've tacked it. Um, yeah, I've got it as clean as I think I can get it. So now I'm gonna start masking all my door shuts. So I'm not sure what time it was when I started masking all the door shuts, but I got in work for about 11 in the morning. I was in work for, and we got the van painted, and we were done for about 9 o'clock at night. So yeah, it was a fair stint of a day we put in anyway, and there was a lot to do. It was a hell of a lot to get done. Had to mask all the door shuts, panel wipe the van down. We had sealer to do. We had spray sealer to do. I had to mix the black. I had to mix the purple. Yeah, we had a work cut out for us today. Anyway, but nothing we're not used to. So yeah, I'm just back taping off all them door shuts using the big paper. So this is 48 inches wide, so it's way more than big enough for a door shut, which is nice. One piece will do a door shut. As you can see, it's really handy for that. Because otherwise, it'd be a nightmare trying to do that with smaller paper. You can't get it as tight and stuff. Where that big paper, you can get it really tight to all your tape. It just looks so much better as well with proper nice flush tight paper around your door shuts. I'm just weird like that. I just prefer it, like, you know, being able to hit your paper and it's nice and tight and it's not all blowing around. And yeah, that does my head in, that when you're going in to paint a job and it's been masked up and yeah, all your paper's flapping around, even though you've not masked it, but someone else has, and yeah, the paper's flapping about in the wind. So yeah, always keep your paper nice and tight, and you know, just make sure you got plenty of bite on your tape as well, so it's not gonna, when you pull the trigger on your spray gun, the tape and the paper isn't gonna blow off into the van or something. Like I've had that a couple of times on this, mainly for the fact I'm sticking tape to sticking 2 inch tape to sprayable seam sealer, um, that I've put on, and the tape does not want to stick to it at all. I don't know why, it just doesn't want to stick to it. Maybe because it's a rubbery coat and it just doesn't like it. But yeah, so I'm taping them holes up in there because I don't want any. I don't want I'm putting paint on the outside of the van. I don't want obviously overspray coming in, but I don't want dust from inside the van going out and landing on the paint. So you've got to think about all that stuff. You know, tape up as many holes as you can tape up and seal as much as you can seal. Because the more you do that, the cleaner the job's going to be. It's all about being clean and stuff. Like, it is a nightmare. If you're not a clean person and you can't be doing with cleaning, then this definitely wouldn't be a job for you. But people that know me and know how OCD I am know that I'm a clean freak. So yeah, this job suits me down to a T in that respect because everything is clean, clean, clean. You know, it has to be. You know, you can't be a dirty, scruffy painter because it doesn't work. You know, it just doesn't work. You've got to be tidy. You've got to be clean. You've got to be OCD. Otherwise, it just doesn't. Yeah, it just doesn't end well because yeah, it just doesn't end well. Yeah, it definitely helps if you're tidy anyway. So yeah, the people that know me know how OCD I am and know that I have a home for everything and there's a place for everything. Even though the back of the van doesn't look like that right now, but you've got to remember a lot of that stuff will be coming out of there soon. Um, that'll be coming out because we'll be getting it all rebuilt up and stuff. So we'll go from there. Again, once all the doors are done, we'll get all that stuff ripped out because I've got to order more stuff yet. I've got to order some new bits. There's a couple of bits I want to replace, some damaged bits, some bits I don't want to put back on the van because they're a bit old and tired. So I just don't see the point in putting them back because they're old and tired. You know, there's no point in me putting them back on for then in 2 years' time to then replace it. You know, I might as well replace stuff now while I'm at this level of taking the thing apart. Doesn't make sense to put damaged, dirty stuff back. You know, like a lot of the door rubber seals. You know, I'm gonna replace all of them. The rear door, the sliding door, the two cab door rubbers. You know, I'll replace all of them because they're all ripped. They're quite perished. The metal's showing that, you know, gonna start rusting. So I don't want any of that coming out and starting to, you know, contaminate my fresh paintwork. So I'm just gonna get new rubbers, and I know where I stand. Then, you know, it's just easier to do it all now. Yeah, I've got a few bits to replace. Going to get a brand new aerial because again, the factory seal that comes around the aerial that was on top of the van, that rubber had gone, that perished. It had all cracked and disintegrated. It was no longer there. So for the sake of, again, probably 30, 40 pound, I'll just put a brand new aerial on it. It'll look good. It'll have its factory seal around it. And yeah, I know it's all watertight again. Like my last one was watertight. I know it was watertight because there was no rust around the hole. So you know that really did make me feel a bit better about knowing that that outer rubber seal doesn't do massive things for keeping it watertight. If that makes sense, you know, the more watertight seals are on the inside and underneath of the aerial. So yeah, it's just little things like that though. When I start seeing cracked, perished rubbers, I start thinking, water's going to start getting in there. You know, it's going to start leaking water in soon. That's not good. So yeah, once I did get the aerial out and I took the headliner out inside, I could see, oh, has it been rotting it from the hole around the inside? But it hadn't. So that was good to know. Again, something that actually hadn't rotten on this van. That was nice. Yeah, we're getting there now. We're not far from getting this all masked. Got two door shuts left and got the engine bay, and then we'll throw some paper over the wheels because we're actually going to paint it today. So we don't want any dust or any dirt coming off the tires or the rims and landing in the paint. So I will spend time covering them now. I didn't for primer and stuff just because it was more to save myself time, and I didn't really care about them getting covered in overspray, and I didn't really care about dirt or dust coming off them and landing in the primer because I was sanding the primer anyway. So yeah, horses for courses in that respect. You know, if you're painting a job, then you want to cover everything and keep it mint, keep it clean. But if you're going into primer job and you're going to end up sanding all your primer again, then I wouldn't bother wasting a load of time masking it all to be absolutely mint. So yeah, I just had a wild thought to myself. I was masking that door shut. I had a box of spray sealer in the back of my van that I needed, and I hadn't masked them holes out on the inside. So before I go sealing that driver's door shut up, I was like, oh god, I need to get inside the van and do that quick. Because there's nothing worse when you mask a full van up and then you're like, oh, I need to get that. It's inside the van, and then you got to start ripping all your masking open to get inside. So yeah, I just had a wild thought there. I was like, oh, I need that spray sealer box out the back. So yeah, I just popped in there, got that spray sealer out, masked them holes, and then jumped out. So yeah, I'm glad I actually remembered that this time, because usually I don't remember stuff like that. I'm a nightmare. I know I've got to do it, but I'm in that much of a rush, and I'm like 10 steps ahead of where I'm already at, that I've forgot about that, and I'm well ahead of where I should be. But yeah, no. Sometimes it's just hard. You know, you're trying to think about 10 things at once while doing 10 things at once, and but then you're like, oh, you know, you're not thinking it. Well, I'm asking this, and it's like, oh, I'm not thinking about putting spray sealer on because I'm like probably 2 3 hours away from that. But yeah, I still had the thought of, oh, I need to get it out the back of the van because I'll be putting it on in 2 3 hours, and I'll be fuming if I've got to rip all that tape off to get in the back of the van. So yeah, it's always thinking about everything you're doing and keeping yourself ahead of yourself, but not letting yourself make silly mistakes. Silly mistakes can be very costly. Yeah, you don't want costly mistakes. This isn't a trade for costly mistakes. So yeah, masking that rubber up again. That's just a little rubber that sits under the dash. So I'm just going to mask that up to the dash, and then I can get paint under there then. Yeah, and I want to make sure I've got plenty of colour under there. Don't want to be painting the van and not have colour under there because it'll just look awful. I mean, you don't see it in there. Once the windscreen's back in, no one's going to see under there anyway, but I'm going to see under there before the windscreen goes back in, so if it's got to be good for me. I've got to be content with it. I've got to be happy with it, because if I'm not happy with it, then it's no good. You know, it's my van at the end of the day, and I'm the one that's done the job, so I've got to be happy with it. There's no point in doing a job and not being happy with it. You know, it's I've done plenty of jobs and not been happy with them. You know, and you sometimes you just got to accept that. But when you're painting something for yourself, and let's say I paint this the first time round, and I make an absolute hash of it. It's a bad job, and I'm pissed off. I'm raging with it, and I've got to paint it again. Sometimes that's just the way it goes, but sometimes it you can help it, but sometimes you can't help it. But I'm going to be in a position that if it goes wrong, that I can paint it again. Not that I want to stand there and rub the entire shell again for a fourth time, but if it comes down to it, I'm lucky enough to be in a position that it's not going to really cost me any more money. It's just going to cost me time. You know, I've got the materials there. It's just going to cost me a lot more time. But what's time at the end of the day? What else would I be doing? You know, obviously there's other stuff I could be doing, but you know, I've been wanting to do this respray for a long time now, and it's been a long time coming. So yeah, here we are now. I've just masked up for spray sealer. So this is spray sealer. So this is the spray sealer gun I've got in my hand. So this just replicates factory OEM seam sealer, well, sprayed sealer on your sills and stuff. So some of it's stone chip, but this is like a proper spray sealer. Really hard to get off once it's been applied and it's set. So just use the back of my test wing there to check how the gun's spraying, get the gun set up real nice. And yeah, just start getting that on the sills. So yeah, it gives me a nice rubbery textured coating. Protects against stone chip and abrasion and stuff. So yeah, that's why I'm getting that on there. And I've just took it inside the door shuts a little bit, just to protect from anyone's feet knocking in and out and stuff. So yeah, as soon as you've got that on, you want to get your masking off as soon as you can, because that stuff will when you start unmasking, if you leave the masking on too long, you start pulling that off, it'll start, like, the tape will start pulling your sealer with your line, and you won't be left with a nice crisp clean line. So you want to get that off as quick as you can. So I don't care the fact that I haven't got gloves on. I'm just taking this off and getting this off as quick as I can. I really don't care. Again, that's my fine line. So you use your fine line tape to get your line right, because that'll go in all around your curves and your door shuts and stuff real nice. So yeah, that's what I've used to make my line. And then you go over the top with your 2 inch or your 1 inch and stick your paper to it. So yeah, that's the idea of your fine line anyway. That's what you can obviously if you were painting a custom job, you know, make all your nice cool lines and stuff with it. So yeah, getting that other sill nicely and spray sealed up. Again, it's a Worth spray sealer I'm using. It's great because it's wet and wettable. It stays open up to 5 days. You can apply that and paint over it up to 5 days after applying the spray sealer. It's pretty good stuff. I mean, I really rate it. It's fantastic, to be honest. I've done the whole underside of my van with it and the inside of the floor. That's what I use, spray sealer. Again, it's pretty good. I didn't do all the POV for that, but anyway, at least we're getting the cool bit where we're painting the shell. That's what matters. Yeah, you see, that's me pulling that fine line tape off. That's what gives me a nice clean line. So yeah, just gonna do a bit of a clean up now. I've got some seam sealer to put in some body lines and stuff where I've dug it out. So yeah, just get the 3M gun. So that's a 3M cartridge gun. I've got a 3M sealer gun. I'm using Worth Bond and Seal, but it's a 3M gun. The tube I just got on the nozzle was a bit nozzle was blocked, so I just got a fresh nozzle out of the box there and check the gun's working right how I want. Just gonna clean my hands with some panel wipe because I'm covered in sealer. So yeah, just use some of that Octral solvent based degreaser. Probably not great for my hands or my skin, but it gets sealer off great, so that's what matters. So yeah, that seam in there, you can see them sealing up. On sprinters, they rot so bad in there. So I dug all my sealer out, dug all the metal out, cleaned all the metal up to clean metal in there, got it all epoxy, got it octraled and resealed it in there. Cause yeah, that was really rotten bad out of there on mine. As they all do, they all go round there as well. It's not good. So yeah, make sure I got that all cleaned up. Again, there was a bit of a seam in there that the sealer had ripped out, so getting that all sealed up and cleaned. I had a couple more little channels in the S sliding door aperture I had to recreate. I basically cut it out with a scalpel blade, and then I'm just going to piece the sections back in. Um, like I'd had a hard time trying to I couldn't replicate what Mercedes had done in there with the sealer line, but I just did what I wanted to do to make it look, you know, half decent. So what I did, I actually put the sealer in with the gun, squirted it with the Octral solvent based degreaser, and I actually used a cheap hair comb with really fine like bristles in it. And the reason I did that, so that's what I'm using now, and it creates a really nice factory look of like brushed sealer. I did just have a massive idiot move. I just put my knee down and I just touched the sill with my knee and I just marked all that fresh spray sealer. I was absolutely raging right then, but I just had to tell myself, calm down, because you get angry, you're gonna make mistakes. You know, it's easy to get angry. I get angry all the time when things start going wrong in the spray booth. I'm sure people can hear me with the mask on, muffled screams and shouting and kicking off, but you know, when you're trying to do everything mint first time and right, and then you start sticking in your sealer, and you're like, you can't really redo your spray sealer. It's hard to redo it. So yeah, I just tried to piece in a bit of 2 inch along my line, dust the spray sealer in, and that was it. But yeah, thanks for watching, everyone.